Joan Rivers, born Joan Alexandra Malinsky on June 8, 1933, in Brooklyn, New York, was not just a comedian, she was a cultural force, a trailblazer who reshaped the landscape of American comedy and television. Known for her acerbic wit, fearless humor, and unrelenting drive, Rivers broke down barriers in a male-dominated industry, paving the way for future generations of female comedians. Her story is one of relentless ambition, personal struggle, and a tragic, untimely end that left the world reeling. Growing up in a middle-class Jewish family, Rivers was the daughter of Russian immigrants who instilled in her a strong work ethic and a desire for success. Her father, Dr. Meyer Malinsky, was a respected physician, and her mother, Beatrice, was a homemaker who encouraged Joan's early interest in performance. Despite a comfortable upbringing, Rivers often felt like an outsider, a sentiment that would fuel her comedy for decades. Rivers attended the prestigious Barnard College, where she majored in English literature and anthropology. During her time at Barnard, she was actively involved in the theater, honing her skills in acting and comedy. However, the road to success was anything but smooth. After graduating in 1954, Rivers struggled to find her footing in the entertainment world. She took on a series of odd jobs, from writing for the advertising department of Bond clothing stores to working as a tour guide at Rockefeller Center, all while performing in small clubs around New York City. Her big break came in 1965 when she appeared on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson. It was a life-changing moment. Carson, who had an uncanny ability to spot talent, was instantly captivated by Rivers' sharp, self-deprecating humor. He famously quipped, "God, you're funny," and from that moment on, Rivers' career took off. She became a regular on The Tonight Show, where her no-holds-barred approach to comedy won her legions of fans. Rivers' rise to fame was meteoric, but it wasn't without its challenges. The world of comedy in the 1960s and 1970s was a man's world, and women were often relegated to the sidelines. But Rivers was different. She refused to conform to the expectations placed on female comedians at the time, who were often expected to be demure, uncontroversial, and above all, ladylike. Rivers' comedy was anything but conventional. She tackled taboo subjects with a brutal honesty that was both shocking and refreshing. She spoke openly about topics that were considered off-limits, such as sex, marriage, and aging. Her jokes were sharp, often cutting, and she wasn't afraid to poke fun at herself, her family, or even her audience. Rivers' humor was raw and real, and it resonated with people who were tired of the sanitized, cookie-cutter comedy that dominated the airwaves. Her success on The Tonight Show opened the door to numerous other opportunities. Rivers became a sought-after guest on television shows, and she soon landed her own daytime talk show, That Show with Joan Rivers, in 1968. The show was ahead of its time, featuring a mix of celebrity interviews, topical discussions, and Rivers' trademark humor. But it was her role as the permanent guest host on The Tonight Show that truly cemented her place in television history. From 1983 to 1986, Rivers filled in for Johnny Carson whenever he was away, becoming the first woman to regularly host a late-night talk show. Her success in this role was a testament to her talent and her ability to connect with audiences on a deeply personal level. In 1986, Joan Rivers made a bold and risky decision that would forever alter her career. She was offered her own late-night talk show, The Late Show starring Joan Rivers, on the fledgling Fox network. It was an unprecedented opportunity, but it came at a cost. Johnny Carson, who had been Rivers' mentor and supporter, felt betrayed that she had not informed him of her plans beforehand. Carson never spoke to her again, and Rivers was banned from The Tonight Show, a ban that would last until 2014, shortly before her death. The Late Show starring Joan Rivers was groundbreaking in many ways. Rivers was the first woman to host a late-night talk show, breaking through the glass ceiling that had kept women out of this coveted television slot. But the show was fraught with challenges. Fox was a new network, struggling to find its footing, and the show faced stiff competition from established late-night programs. Despite Rivers' talent and determination, The Late Show struggled in the ratings. Behind the scenes, there were tensions between Rivers and her husband, Edgar Rosenberg, who was also the show's producer. The pressure of the show, combined with the strain on her marriage, took a toll on Rivers. In 1987, just months after the show was cancelled, Rosenberg tragically took his own life. Rivers was devastated, both personally and professionally. She found herself at a crossroads, with her career in tatters and her personal life in shambles. But Joan Rivers was nothing if not resilient. In the aftermath of Edgar's death, Rivers faced financial ruin and public scrutiny. Many in the entertainment industry had written her off, believing that her career was over. But Rivers was determined to prove them wrong. She returned to her roots in stand-up comedy, touring the country and rebuilding her career one joke at a time. Her comedy became even edgier, fueled by the pain and anger she felt after losing her husband and her show. Rivers used humor as a coping mechanism, and her audiences responded with admiration and support. In the 1990s, Rivers found a new niche as a red carpet commentator, a role that would bring her a whole new level of fame. She became the go-to person for red carpet coverage at award shows, where her biting commentary and "Who are you wearing?" catchphrase became legendary. Rivers' work on the red carpet revolutionized celebrity fashion coverage, turning it into a major part of the entertainment industry. In 2010, Rivers took her fashion commentary to the next level with the launch of Fashion Police on the E! Network. The show, which she co-hosted with a panel of fashion experts, became an instant hit. Rivers' sharp tongue and unapologetic critiques of celebrity fashion made the show must-watch television, and she continued to host the show until her death in 2014. Joan Rivers' impact on comedy and television is immeasurable. She was a trailblazer who shattered glass ceilings and paved the way for future generations of female comedians. Rivers' fearless approach to comedy, her willingness to tackle controversial subjects, and her unapologetic persona made her a true icon. Rivers' influence can be seen in the careers of many comedians who followed in her footsteps. Kathy Griffin, Sarah Silverman, and Amy Schumer are just a few of the comedians who have cited Rivers as a major influence on their work. Rivers' legacy is also evident in the success of female hosts in late-night television, a field that was once dominated by men. But Rivers' contributions weren't limited to comedy. She was also a prolific author, writing 12 books, many of which became bestsellers. Her autobiography, Enter Talking, is considered a classic in the genre, offering a candid and often hilarious look at her rise to fame. Rivers was also a savvy businesswoman, launching a successful line of jewelry and beauty products on QVC, which became a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Rivers was also a fierce advocate for women in the entertainment industry. She spoke openly about the challenges she faced as a woman in comedy, and she used her platform to encourage other women to be bold, unapologetic, and true to themselves. Her work in this area earned her numerous awards and accolades, including a Daytime Emmy Award and a Grammy Award for Best Spoken Word Album. The final chapter of Joan Rivers' life was marked by a tragic and untimely end. On August 28, 2014, Rivers underwent what was supposed to be a routine endoscopy at a clinic in Manhattan. The procedure, intended to examine her vocal cords, took a catastrophic turn when Rivers stopped breathing. She was rushed to Mount Sinai Hospital, where she was placed on life support. For days, the world waited anxiously for news of Rivers' condition. Her daughter, Melissa Rivers, remained by her side, hoping for a miracle. But on September 4, 2014, Joan Rivers passed away at the age of 81. The cause of death was later determined to be brain damage due to lack of oxygen during the procedure. Rivers' death sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. Tributes poured in from around the world, with fans, colleagues, and fellow comedians mourning the loss of a true legend. Many praised Rivers for her groundbreaking contributions to comedy and television, while others reflected on the personal impact she had on their lives. In the wake of her death, questions arose about the circumstances surrounding the procedure that led to her passing. Melissa Rivers filed a malpractice lawsuit against the clinic, alleging that the doctors involved had made critical mistakes that ultimately cost her mother her life. The lawsuit was eventually settled out of court, but it raised important questions about the safety of elective medical procedures and the standards of care in outpatient clinics.